For the first time ever, I was right in predicting as to where this lion would be. He was exactly at Echele Pan. Now, of course, good morning to all of you. I hope that, well, that's a good start, isn't it? And my name is Tayla McCurdy, and on camera with me is Brian with the very smart-looking thumb. He must have a meeting in town this morning because he's dressed to the T with his suit and tie. Very lovely. But, of course, we've got a big male lion here. Now, Brian, I wonder, do you think we should try and do this whole repositioning thing?
Might as well.
We're going to try and reposition. We've got the roofs on this morning. So what I'm going to do is I think we need to reverse. I think I even see a chameleon, and I'm not even joking. Hang on. Everything's falling off. Earpieces coming out. I think I can see a chameleon. I think. We'll have to have a closer look, though. Now, if you have just joined us, welcome. This is a live safari, and we look forward to hearing from you. So hashtag Safari Live with your questions on Twitter, or if you do not have Twitter, you can send them through to questions@WildEarthTV. Now we need to identify who this male lion is. Straight off the bat, are you Tinyo or are you Mfumo? But there he is. Let me turn these lights off. I'm going to trade. I'm going to put my spotlight on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, almost. Hello, big boy. He does not look impressed. Who do you think it is? Brian? I think it's Tinyo. It looks... Is it? He's just very wet and very sad this morning. But he's quite small. And Tinyo, I think, out of the Birminghams, well, this is just my opinion, he looks as though he's got the smallest sort of body size. He's not as big and bulky as Mfumo or even Nena and Suku. So this is my suspicion. But he's looking for his friends. He's been moaning all morning, not quite doing full roars just yet, but giving them a go. And hopefully, if we sit here for long enough and he decides to get up again, he's going to do exactly that. He's going to give us a bit of a roar. But now, it's siesta time. Hello. And it's so typical for male lions to do this. If they're not on a set after territorial patrol and just sort of looking for some friends, he'll walk, he'll do a little bit of a roar, sit down, have a 5-minute siesta. And he's sitting out in the middle of the rain, so I don't know how long he'll sit here for before he gets slightly annoyed with all the water hitting his ears and hitting his face. Or actually, he's very clever. Do you see that, Brian? How he's sitting with his bum towards the rain. We're actually facing the wrong way. But this lion is very intelligent. And every now and then I must just warn you, Hazel, because it is drizzling. You might see that your screen will go black, but don't worry, it is not really black. It's just because Brian will need to wipe the lens every now and then to keep it nice and clean so that you can of course, see nice and clearly. Come on, Leon. Wake up, Leon. Oh, that worked. Yes, that is definitely Tinyo. That face is a face that only a mother could love, I think. The guy's little canine is sticking out as well. Oh, I can hear another line. That's a very good sign. So he obviously didn't respond to me when I said this is Tinyo. I'm talking absolute nonsense. But what he did respond to was some lions calling from behind us. And I'm not sure if it is the females. It sounds very far away. It actually still sounds like it could be Far and Biville's Hook. Or maybe it's one of the other brothers. Maybe they did split up. We know that Nsuku, who was hanging around for a bit, he went on to Torchwood yesterday morning. And I don't know where the other two are now. Although Nsuku could probably not even be on Torchwood anymore. He could be, well, back towards the eastern boundary of the Kruger National Park. Come on, boy. Why don't you respond to that call? I think that would be a lovely idea. But isn't this just amazing? It's not very often, of course, that you get to drive around and first thing in the morning, well, you predict where the line's going to be. So I'm feeling very chuffed with myself. These types of things don't happen too often, of course. I did cheat a little bit, though, because he was moving. So I think when I first heard him calling, it was probably a little bit further down Twin Dams Road, and I just got very lucky. But that's what I suppose being out on safari is about. You need a little bit of luck in your life. And of course, it's also all about just being at the right place at the right time. I think he's going to move soon. What are you doing, big boy? Now he's staring off into the distance. I love the way his mane is so wet and it's almost forming dreads. No, now he's got his eyes closed. Hopefully, he's going to do a big, loud roar for us. And, well, we're not going to go anywhere just yet. We're going to go across to James, who, well, hopefully he sorted everything out in the tent. He was cleaning up so nicely yesterday, tying all the wires together. He'd make such a good house husband. But let's go across to James in the tent to say good morning. And equally, thank you, James. Thank you, James, saying that I would make an equally good housewife. I do. I clean a lot. I'm very OCD in that type of manner. So yes, I'd like to cook as well. I do all those types of things. I don't wash dishes. No, I'm only teasing. I'm just being being ridiculous now. Let's stop focusing on me being a housewife and, of course, this beautiful male lion. But he hasn't moved, which I'm a bit sad about, because I think he's been moving for most of the night now, and I hope that this isn't him going to settle down for the evening. But at least it's getting lighter, which is quite nice. And kind of what I do hope is that I actually hope that the rain picks up slightly, because I suspect that he would not sit out in the open and he'd have to get up and move his bottom around to a better spot. But these cats get so used to the rain, I suppose, as well. See, now something else has caught his attention. Just having a little listen. I can't hear a thing, but he looks like he's listening very well. So perhaps all the way on the far corners of Simbambili, or maybe even in Elephant Plains or Londolozi, he can hear another lion roaring. Remember, their hearing is so much better than ours. I mean, they can hear for a distance. They can hear, well, a lion's roar can travel for about 8 kilometers. So that's far, far away. That's, I mean, I sometimes can't even hear what's happening in the room next door to me. And for him, it would sound like, oh my goodness, a very, very loud noises all the time. Seems like somebody else is responding. No, again, so far away we can't hear anything. We can just hear all the birds. But it's really nice, though, how all of these lions have come together after such a long time, because, I don't know, Brian, can you remember last when the Birminghams were all together?
I haven't seen them all together in a very long time.
Very long time, says Brian.
Exceptionally long time.
So it was nice even just to get the 3 of them, and I have no doubt in my mind that at one point all 4 of them would have met up over the last few weeks. And I think they've obviously settled down. I suppose they've almost got their own mini territories within this massive territory up here in the north. And even though it's a bit risky separating like the way they have, because if some, like us, we spoke about this the other day, if some young upstarts come through... What was that? He's trying to yawn. Not yawn, roar. There we go. Those lion calls from the north are getting closer. They're definitely coming this way, so that's quite exciting. Maybe he's going to go that way. And it's still a bit too far to tell you if it's a male or a female. Like I said, I think that maybe they're just crossing over into Djuma. Maybe they're still coming from Buffelshoek, but it's exceptionally far away. But as I was saying, is that... Oh. Barbara, you want to know what bird we can hear calling? Let's take a moment to listen, and I shall tell you all of them. So, Barbara, all I could hear was big male lion. Tinyo, that was very rude. We're trying to listen to the birds. Please, can you not interrupt us again? Sorry, Barbara, I apologize for Tinyo's behavior this morning. He obviously wasn't taught any manners, but we shall try and do it again. Let's see if we can listen to the birds. I can definitely hear a robin of some sort, maybe one of the scrub robins. There's definitely a couple of turtle doves in the far distance, and earlier, I think the bird you were asking about is, I'm pretty sure I heard an orange-breasted bushshrike that was going. Was it that one, Barbara? Because that was quite a prominent sort of call, and it does stand out compared to the rest of the tweets and chirps that are going on at the moment, so it might have been that one. But like I said, Tinyo, well, I suppose he wasn't rude. That was quite lovely. It gave me goosebumps. I hope it gave all of you goosebumps. And, well, I've recently shaved my legs so that my hair on my legs didn't stand up. I'm so sorry. Hey, there's something wrong with me this morning. I've lost the plot. Kirsty's going to have to pull me off and, well, lock me in a room today until I can contain myself. But how's this? There's a bit of a breeze. The insects are still flying away, even though it's drizzling. You can see him swatting his tail every now and then. He's listening to something way down in the west. I wish I knew what he was listening to. Now, hello, Diane, you're wondering, is it usual for male lions to spend so much time on their own? Oh, my goodness. That obviously was not... See, the difference between when I drive and when Brain drives, I'll show you. This is... Are you ready for this, Brian? When Brain drives, he's all the way back here.
Yeah, I know.
Low rider.
Low rider.
Low riding, and and he drives. I can't. I've got to get my good posture. So let's bring the seat back up. I obviously didn't wedge it in. Oh, that's lovely. I can feel the muscles working in my back. It's wonderful. Sorry there. All the bloopers today. It's ridiculous. But I hope you're having a good laugh nonetheless. So, yes, it is quite normal. And this actually, thank you for asking the question, because you've just reminded me of what I was talking about just a moment ago, before we were listening to the birds. And then, of course, Tinyo started roaring. Was that I think it's really amazing how they've sort of separated themselves now once they had established themselves in this northern sector of the Sabi Sands. And they've almost got, like I said, they've almost got their own mini territories. So you've got Nsuku, who's far on the east, and he sort of keeps everybody in check along the Kruger boundary, sort of again around Nkoro, a little bit of Cheetah Plains. And then you've got Nena, who roams in between as well around that area. And then coming further west, you've got Tinyo, who's in front of us, and Mfumo, who, of course, he's also around. He's actually the one that seems to hang around on the property the most. But it's a problem, is because now that they're spending so much time away from each other, is that if some young upstarts do come through, they'll take him out, they'll take Mfumo out, whereas if they stood together, they'd have a much better chance of course, fending off other lions, any other big predators. And they're in their prime of their lives now. They're getting nice and big, and these young upstarts would look like what they looked like a year ago, scraggly manes. And yes, in numbers, they'd be able to challenge one big male lion on his own, but 4 big male lions versus some young upstarts. And at the age that they're at now, they're almost invincible. Unless there will be, maybe 6 young male lions that come through. They might then be a little bit outnumbered. But for the moment, they really, really are going to do exceptionally well. And just a reminder, though, just in case you have just joined and you didn't get to see the pre-drive, we are going to be practicing ad breaks today, and we're actually going to go into one in a moment. We've got probably about 40 seconds or so, maybe just, always like to guess when Kirsty's going to say the next set of numbers before we go to an ad break. It was a bit early that time. It's only 40 seconds now. But remember, it's just pretend. We're not actually going anywhere, so don't jump up to make a cup of coffee. He's snarling a little bit. I love the way that he sort of... I love the way that he does that. It's very funny. Don't do a big roar now. Please don't do a big roar. You can't speak over. He can't steal my thunder. That's just ridiculous. Right, we're off to an ad break. Stick around. Is Tinyo going to do another big roar for us? We're not sure, but we're not going to go anywhere, and I hope you don't too. Was it fine? Right. We, of course, because like I said, we've got the TV show coming up, and I hope that you're all excited. Remember, Sunday night in the USA, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Nat.Geo Wild channel. We'll be so happy to have you all here. And remember, we'll teach you about all the different characters, and, well, we'll catch you up if we've missed anything during the week. And, well, we're going to still sit here with Tinyo. I'm quite enjoying him, and I'm hoping that the roars from the distance are going to get closer and everybody's going to meet up, and it's going to be a wonderful day. But we're going to jump back across into Byron's very wet and slippery vehicle and see what he's got in store for you. And he's still fast asleep. He's just lying around doing, well, not much. And we haven't heard any more contact calls coming from the north either. So everything seems to have settled down a little bit now. So I think what we're going to do, though, is we're probably going to start moving on, because I would like to go and check the northern boundary. No one has checked it just yet. And I just have a feeling that maybe that those calls were just starting, because every time we heard them, they sounded a little bit closer, a little bit closer. So maybe they have just creeped over the boundary and we don't know yet. But I'm also hoping that he's going to do a big roar for us, because that would be really special to have, well, 2 roars on one drive. But he's pretty fat, though. He's definitely not starved, so I wonder where he's been feasting. Maybe he's actually been with Nguhumas the whole time. Maybe they've made a kill. Like I said, we haven't seen them for a couple of days now, so we don't even know what condition they're in, or if they've killed any buffalo. They've been hiding away for too long now on Buffalo's Hook, so hopefully they're going to make their return fairly soon. Tinyo, I'm giving you 1 more minute. 1 more minute, and then you have to do a big roar. Now, earlier we were chatting about these male lions and their territories, and, you know, is it risky that they're on their own? Not their own. I'm not doing measurements. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm ridiculous this morning. What is wrong with my English? Oh no, I suppose it's every day, isn't it? No, sorry, Tom. Tom, you were actually wondering if these lions knew that they were perhaps having conflict with another lion, would they rejoin up? I'm sure they might. Especially if these lions were to hear the calls of their opponents coming in. I think that they'd probably come together and move towards where those roars and growls, if there were already any battles happening, were coming from. They definitely have each other's back, and that's what is so amazing about their bond is, yes, they may not see each other for weeks, maybe even a couple of months every now and then, but they'll join up, and they're sort of like very good friends, and it's like family. It doesn't matter how long you don't see family for, you still have that strong bond, and they'll greet, and they'll join up as if they hadn't, you know, missed a day by each other's side. But it would be tough, though. I think if, you know, if Nsuku and Nena were all the way on the eastern boundary, I think it would be quite difficult to actually hear if something was happening right on the northern boundary. Oh, no, he sat up again. Just every now and then, that's what we seem to get. And it's sort of a mizzle at the moment as well. It's not drizzling as hard as what it was earlier, but the wind is picking up. And I hope that it doesn't pour with too much rain. You can just hear sounds like one of, maybe a spur fowl just shouting in the distance. I'm just listening to what it's going on about. It also could have just woken up quite late. Yes. I think it's maybe just woken up a little bit late and it's getting into doing, well, the start of the day call. But I think we're going to leave now. Let's leave this boy. Let's go start our patrol in the north, and hopefully we're going to find the rest of the pride. And of course, Rexon's here, so if anything exceptionally exciting happens, I'm pretty sure he will call me to come racing back. Right, let's sneak around. We're being double filmed. Look at this, he's roaring. One more? Yes, good boy. Wasn't that perfect timing? He's been fast asleep this entire time in the pouring rain. You can see how wet his back is now. And he's practicing some grooming, getting himself nice and clean. And I think it must be nice to be, well, covered in a bit of rain when this happens. I think it makes the grooming process a lot easier. I wonder if he's going to get up and move now, because this rain is really coming down. You might even hear the pitter-patter on the roof. I'm going to sneeze as well. Goodness gracious! Woo! That was a nice shake of the mane as well. You saw all the water splashing off of him, but he's pretty soaked now. And at one point, just as we arrived back here, because we had no luck, we checked the northern boundary, nothing has come across just yet. And it was quite interesting because he was sitting and it's sort of like he had a middle path, and it looked like a really bad high school haircut, or actually maybe even younger than that, maybe junior school when his mother still used to brush his hair. You know, you always get those awkward looks. And I can't move right now because otherwise we're going to get absolutely soaked. I've got my bum facing the rain. There we go. Thank you, big boy. But it seems as though he's shagged his hair up a little bit, like he put his fingers through his hair and scruffed it up, because it was very embarrassing just a moment ago. Hello, boy. You're not having a great hair day today, are you? And we're going to try and stick with him as long as we can. Although he doesn't look like he's going anywhere just yet. He's having a bit of a scratch. But it's nice to see he's looking more and more beautiful every time I see him, I must say. I know I'm contradicting myself because I said he had a face that only a mother could love this morning. But at least he's looking a little bit more handsome with his mane coming out. You can see it's starting to grow now, right, coming over the shoulders. And it's still going to get thicker than that. But he hasn't got a massive mane. I mean, if you look at Nena and Nsuku, and we've seen them over the last couple of days, they almost look like they've stuck their tails into an electric plug, and well, into the socket, and they've got a bit of an electrocution, because their mane stands out so much more, whereas his seems to be a little bit sort of scruffy. He's still itching, and I can just see his tongue popping out of his mouth every now and then. He's enjoying himself. I always love it when they scratch themselves and they find the right spot and they sort of stick their tongues out all the time. Now, Amber, you were wondering if that call that Tinyo has just done, if it was him looking for other lions or if it was a warning call. I think he's looking for the rest of the pride, either the Nkuhumas or he's looking for his brothers. I think he'll be quite happy to find any of them, but I'm sure his brother... Oh, here he goes again. No, he stopped. There we go. I'm going to quickly try and catch up with them. I hope he doesn't go he doesn't go off-roading today, because we're going to find ourselves in quite a bit of trouble. This roof does not allow for us to go through drainage systems, and also I think the ground is going to get a little bit too wet, so we won't do too much off-roading today. It's been a nice soaking rain. You can see we're going to try and drive along very slowly, but he's marking his territory, and now he looks like he's about to take a shortcut. Don't go too far. So sorry, Amber. I think yeah, like I said, basically just to recap on your question, I think he is just, we have to turn the vehicle, off he goes onto an animal pathway. He's just looking for somebody. And there were a lot of lions responding. There were some coming from the west. There were definitely lions coming from the north. So whoever he's going to find, I'm not sure, but he seems to have chosen to go a little bit more west. Right, let's see if we can zip around. There's a big animal pathway, so I think he might jump back on the road again. It sort of leads him back towards the road. But we're quite limited to how we're going to view this line, so we'll have to do a lot of repositioning. Is basically, we've got the canvas sides down at the back and on either side. So Brian is sitting in the darkness at the moment, and then we've just got this view. So we're going to have to face him front on every time we want to have a look at him. There he goes again. And hopefully my big old head won't get in the way. Under a little shrub. And we'll just keep a little distance away from us. Oh, we will keep a distance away from him, not us, sorry. There we go. You can see he's picking up the pace now as he goes downhill. Oh, very squeaky this morning. And up he goes, and he moves quickly. I don't think even we realize how fast lions can actually travel, because I'm sure he's walking at a pace much quicker than what I can go. Maybe, Brian, you might be able to keep up with him. I reckon, probably because you've got such long legs and you're so tall. But for me, I'd have to be sort of jogging on the spot to keep up with that. Whee, where did you go? Oh, still on the road. That's good news for us. I wonder where he's going to take us. It's so nice. I love doing this, following animals to see where we're going to end up. He looks like he's going to go straight towards, if he carries on here though, straight towards the dam. Now you can see that he's sticking to a road which was created by us, and it's quite normal to see animals walking on roads. And Ellen from Arkansas, you're wondering exactly that. Do animals prefer to walk on roads, our roads, when it's raining? I suppose it doesn't really matter. However, most animals would prefer to walk on our big roads. You can actually hear the drongos now alarming. They were shouting at this lion, but now they've stopped. He's got a big mane. It's difficult to walk now, especially on the normal animal pathways, because all the trees and shrubs have grown quite a bit. So our pathways are still nice and clear, because we're constantly doing bush clearing to prevent people, and obviously the guests driving around on open vehicles. You wouldn't want a thorn tree to hit you across the face. And unfortunately, the rest of the gang, the rest of the animals, when I say that, have to rely on the elephants doing a lot of bush clearing along their pathways. There we go, marking again. So I think that as he's marking, and he is looking for one of his brothers, or maybe the Nkuhuma Pride, like I said, I think it's also a bit of a territorial call that he's doing. He's just announcing himself, just to let everybody else know that, of course, he is in the area. But I'm so happy that he has decided to walk along our roads. Wow. Goodness, he's going so quick. And luckily we've got the rain coming behind us as well. I'm very happy for that, because it would have been a nightmare if the rain was coming in the opposite direction. So we're going to stick with this lion to see where he's going to take us. And well, for now I'm going to send you across to James in the tent, and I wonder what he's going to show you next.